Catch up on all the live shows right here on africatechradio.com.
Okay, so across Africa, cybersecurity incidents resulted in losses estimated at about $3.5 billion to about $4 billion. And in the second quarter of 2023 alone, Africa experienced about the highest average number of cyber attacks per week per organization, with a 23% increase compared to the same period in 2022. And in this episode, we would be looking at the trends in cybersecurity and the cybersecurity trends that shaped 2023. I have an IT security pre-sales engineer, Stephen Ogbebor. I hope I said the name right though. He's a dynamic IT security professional who spent the past 10 years at the intersection of cutting-edge tech and robust security solutions. I also have with me a cybersecurity assurance professional at FBN Holdings, Dozie Alisah. Now the surname, I hope I said both surnames right. I'm going to ask them, by the way. Dozie is a cybersecurity professional with a savviness for AI, that's artificial intelligence, and he's had extensive experience in IT risk management, ethical hacking, enterprise architecture, network engineering, and information system audits. So let's start with Stephen. Hi, Stephen. What's up? How are you doing today?
Very well.
I'm fine. I'm good. How do you say your surname? Or how do you say your name?
Okay, that's Ogbebor.
Okay, Ogbebor. Okay, beautiful.
You're not too far.
Now I'm just at it, Ogbebor. Now I know what it is now. Okay, thank you very much for joining this conversation. We also have Dozie with us. Dozie, can you please say your name?
Yeah, hi, my name is Dozie Alisah. So you were correct.
Oh, Alisah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the first time I'm hearing that name, like first time ever. So welcome to this conversation. Thank you for joining in. Yes. Maybe, after, the call, behind the scene, I'm going to ask what those names, like your names mean. But let's look at the trends that shaped Africa's cybersecurity space in 2023. Dozie, what would your top 3 picks be? And this is me trying to restrict the conversation to just the top 3 so that we don't go on a very long list. And then we'll go to Stephen to hear what his are. So Dozie.
Okay, for me, the top 3 with respect to the amount of revenue lost by different companies. The first one will be ransomware attack. That's one of the highest ones. And then I would have called phishing, but I look at phishing as a way of delivery. That's how I choose to look at phishing. So I'm not going for phishing. So after that, I would say malware attacks. And now, usually, most professionals also like to make a distinction between malware and ransomware. Ransomware is a malware, but the distinction has just been made because of how they work. So there's the ransomware attack, there's the malware attack, and that has to do with the virus and all. And we have seen an increase in denial of service, distributed denial of service. So these are like the major concerns, if I would say, trends that I've noticed within this particular period.
Okay, so ransomware, malware, phishing, somewhere around that, and then DDoS, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's hear yours, Stephen.
Okay, thanks. So in terms of trends that have shaped the cybersecurity space in 2023, I would like to look at it from this angle. I would say with the explosion of cloud adoption, as more and more businesses are adopting cloud technologies due to like cost savings, faster time to market, as well as scalability and flexibility. We are seeing a lot of cases where they are taking advantage of the cloud without necessarily understanding like complexities and best practices associated with securing a cloud environment. So that has led to a lot of attacks. We are seeing a lot of environments that are wrongly configured when it comes to cloud technologies. And also with the uptick in remote and hybrid work, all the way from COVID, we are still seeing it even this year, as more and more businesses are adopting like remote or hybrid environments. And as you know, the defenses you have in place within the office space or on-prem is different from what employees or have like working remotely. For example, like they could connect to unsecure networks, unsecure Wi-Fi networks, and they are vulnerable to like being attacked and all of that. So another trend that I think has shaped this security space this year is security misconfigurations. So this seems kind of trivial, but from the experience we've had this year, we are seeing lots of cases where security systems are erroneously configured or have missing configurations. And these configurations could be exploited by bad actors. They could use it to gain authorized access to organization systems and data. So if I'm to summarize, I would say these three trends: the cloud adoption, the remote or hybrid work environment, as well as security misconfigurations. I would say these have shaped cybersecurity space in Africa to a large extent.
Very interesting. Now this takes me to the next, which would be I want to call them emerging technologies. You just mentioned cloud adoption. What impacts things like the cloud adoption, AI, deep fake, IoT? What impact did these have on cybersecurity, and how we related with cybersecurity in 2023? Stephen, and then Dozie.
All right, that's actually a very interesting question. Yeah, so we've actually seen the emergence and widespread use of artificial intelligence, not just in security, but across all spheres. As we saw this year, a lot of people started looking at ChatGPT, generative AI. So while it has a lot of benefits, it could also be used for nefarious purposes. So, for example, AI could be used to identify system vulnerabilities automatically and launch automated attacks. So the speed and scale of this could be unprecedented. So even not just enterprises, even governments and individuals could be affected by this. So in as much as AI has a lot of good, it could also be used by the bad guys, to cause a lot of damage. Then you mentioned deep fakes. So this actually poses an existential threat to the truth, so even the truth itself. So this is where AI is being used to create realistic but false images, videos, and audio. Just for example, how do you deny that you didn't say something when there's a video of you actually saying something? So this could be used for a lot of fraudulent purposes and to spread misinformation. And also emerging trends such as IoT. We are living in a connected world these days. So a lot of people are adopting smart technologies. You have smart watches, and even in the corporate environment or in the enterprise environment, we have the IoT devices. And it's common knowledge that IoT devices have weak security, which make them an interesting target for bad actors. So they could use this as a gateway for wider network access and cause a lot of damage, even for individuals. For example, we are wearing smart watches. Our homes we have smart homes nowadays. So this could also be exploited by bad guys and could lead to undesirable outcomes.
Dozie, what do you think?
Okay, first of all, I would really thank Steven for his very holistic approach. He really did justice. I would like to add that one of the issues with respect to, emerging technologies, I would first start with quantum cryptography, for example. With the rise in quantum computers, the normal encryption that we have these days is supposed to, secure data. Let me first say the work function. Work function is when we look at encryption. Work function is, in the layman's term, the amount of work you would take to break a particular encryption. Now, because the work function was calculated using our normal computers, so, okay, well, that's good. But now, quantum computers are coming, and quantum computers are faster. So what would usually take probably 2 years to break the normal kind of computers we have now, a quantum computer, it takes minutes. So it means that the world, as we see a rise in quantum computing, it is not yet mainstream, but several large corporates actually use them. There is need for quantum cryptography because our normal cryptography will not be able to stand an attack from the quantum computers. Okay, so now I would like to talk about AI. AI is something I have worked several projects that has to do with AI. When we usually talk about cybersecurity and AI, we don't talk about protecting AI from malicious hackers. When you talk about, how malicious attackers can use AI, but AI also needs protection, just like a database, just like a web application, just like every technology. AI also needs protection. So you have to go like NIST actually they made a framework for how to manage AI environment, and it's a very good one. I've gone through it. I really have a lot to say on AI, but I don't want to take a lot of our time, so I'll just stop here.
Okay. Interesting points here. So that one actually got to me, ensuring that we protect AI from malicious attack and not just, the other way around or how we've been going about it. Now, in terms of the threat incidents that we witnessed in 2023, bringing this home, across the continent, in Nigeria, for example, which is Africa's largest country. Which do you recall, if we have to say, name the top 5 or the top 3 in terms of incidents that we witnessed in 2023? Dozie and then Stephen.
Oh, okay. So some of the incidents, I would not like to mention the organization involved. Ransom.
Yeah, so I think we can maybe talk around what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
describe
exactly.
what happened here, the situation, and not exactly mention the.
Okay. Yeah. So a particular organization in Nigeria, there was a ransomware attack. All their data was hashed, and they couldn't have access to their data. In fact, it disrupted work, and this was just after they announced their profit, and it was just bad. A very messy situation. There was another one, also a ransomware attack on a very big organization too. We cannot also tell if payments was made, but one of the things I've noticed is, and it's actually what anybody would do. Most hackers and most of the hacking groups were not even African groups. They were from Pakistan, Russia, and actually to hack into Africa because most of the devices we use have already passed their end of life. So we have devices that patches are no longer released. So we have lots of exploits and vulnerability that can just come and just, when you bring a budget to a typical executive in large corporates in Nigeria, they see cybersecurity budgets as, these people have come to take money again. How will this increase our bottom line? That is how they look at it. And for these people outside, it's easy. Most of our devices are not supported anymore. There are no patches for these devices, and the exploits that are available in the internet will just be me, and it will just be a walk in the park. So our response in cybersecurity, especially in Africa, is usually reactive and not proactive. Once something happens, everybody, okay. Now let's pump this billions into cybersecurity, and it's painful.
And just for clarity, when you say patches, what do you mean?
Okay, when I say patching, I mean when a software company releases, let's say an operating system or a software, usually there can be vulnerabilities in that software that you might not even find. Their own testing team, quality assurance team might not even be able to find the lapses. So that's why you have things like bug bounty that they say, okay, look at this our software, tell us what a software is supposed to do ABC. Can you get our software to do GAB, to go out of what it was programmed for? So when you are able to get it to do something it wasn't programmed to do, it's a bug. And then a patch is now going to be written so that's why, for example, you check your phone and you say, there's an update. Mm-hmm. Your software needs an update. Those are patches.
So for the end user, it's an update.
Yes, exactly. For the end user, it's an update. So when a particular hardware or software has passed its end of life, it's no more supported. So any new vulnerability discovered or old vulnerability that has been discovered is just there. The company is not going to write a patch to solve it. They're going to focus on what is current. That means everybody using those hardware or software, they are actually just open for any attack, and they are not under any protection except they implement compensating protocol and controls. But how would you know? So it's bad.
That's OIO on your own, totally on your own. Okay, Stephen, what do you think? What are your thoughts? And maybe you have so much more jaw-dropping examples.
Okay, because he actually mentioned the one which is ransomware. We've seen an uptick number of ransomware-related incidents across Africa. So what we've seen is a new trend, and I call it ransomware 2.0. It's basically ransomware as a service. So it's a subscription-based model where affiliates could subscribe to a ransomware vendor and execute ransomware attack. So they could execute these ransomware attacks, and they get commissions for every successful ransom payment. So it's scary because the barrier of entry has actually been reduced. So gone are the days where you need to know how to code and write exploits and all of that. So now even script kiddies or beginners can easily subscribe to these ransomware as a service models and deploy sophisticated ransomware attacks. So, and not just that, they also have this, I call it, double extortion mechanisms. So what we had in the past was when the bad guys or the bad actors had encrypted your files and your information, they will ask for a ransom so you could get the decryption key. But now what we are seeing across Africa is cases where they are also threatening to publish your sensitive information on the dark web if you don't pay within a specified timeline. So they are trying to extort you from two different angles. So we've actually seen an uptick of that. And also another one very significant is distributed denial of service. This has affected a lot of Nigerian companies I'm aware of, from FSIs to telcos. Yeah, we're not mentioning names here. Okay, so I don't know if you heard recently of this activist group, just to shed more light on what activist is. So they hack for political reasons. They act for a purpose. So I think at the middle of this year, this activist group, Anonymous Sudan, so they were causing a lot of terror in the African space, launching DDoS attacks left, right, and center. Yeah, so it affected a lot of organizations. And like Dozie said, most organizations are reactive rather than proactive. So we started seeing organizations reaching out to us, want to implement a DDoS mitigation solution. So which is something that should have been done a long time ago. And bear in mind that a DDoS attack, they don't want to breach you. They don't want to gain access to your environment. They just want to take you offline so legitimate users can't access resources. So they're basically overwhelming your resources, and this could lead to so many bad cases, reputational damage, loss of revenue, you name it. So in 2023 across Africa, we're seeing an uptick in DDoS attacks. And if I'll just add one more, phishing still seems to be a very, 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 very potent attack even in Africa. And as we all know, and from the experience I've had with a couple of clients, they just use their email clients unprotected. They don't have email security solutions in place to protect against things such as spam, something that's basic as spam, phishing, malware, business email compromise. So, and if your employees are not trained on how to detect phishing attacks, they could easily fall victims to this. So we actually saw a lot of cases of phishing attacks across Africa as well. I think I'll just end here.
Now, let me start in my reaction to what Dozie mentioned about, attacks from, persons and personalities and organizations outside of Africa, like as far as Pakistan. Now, what I'm thinking, this is connected to two things: funding and some form of awareness. We had Cybersecurity Month here. We have Cybersecurity Month every October. And every October, everyone, it's either it's going to be you do a hashtag, and social media managers use it, to, create more buzz around, the organization, what the organization is doing. And maybe there's a workshop that's organized, and, that's literally the end of it. It's just a budget allocated. What would you say, in terms of funding? Have we maybe improved a little bit more? Are we still there? Are we still maybe just curing the wounds on the surface and not really going deep in terms of allocating enough funding for cybersecurity? And in awareness, learning and training, how far do you think we fared this year? Dozie?
Thank you very much for the question. I would say it is not where it is supposed to be, but it's better than the previous years. It's not actually where it's supposed to be. We've seen an increase in cybersecurity awareness. We have seen lots of companies now doing phishing simulation tests. We have seen lots of companies, for example, like the NDPR law that was signed, was June or July, I think it was June. There were certain mandatory requirements for any organization that processes customer data up to 2,000. You should have this, you should have that in place. So these are, it's not as robust as the EU GDPR and all, but it's a step in the right direction. We have the OFI document from CBN to financial institutions. That was also actually very, very good to regulate. So you see an increase in cybersecurity jobs now, for example, because sometimes it's a regulatory requirement, other times because the importance is now known. So it's the awareness, level of awareness has increased, but it's not where we want it to be. It's not, we have not attained a level of comfortability, but we are better than we were.
Now, Stephen, in terms of workforce, do we have enough persons, and what do you think about the quality of persons we have? Now, I'm asking this in relation to the Jagba syndrome, the hashtag Jagba that's happening. One, for those who physically are here on the continent, but work for firms outside the continent. So their brains are 9 to 5, either in the morning or in the night, outside of the continent. And for those who physically move from Africa to seek greener pastures, what do you think in terms of workforce? How much are we doing? Do we need more persons to be in this space? Remember that even very, in quotes, elevated, courses that, people read in universities like, doctors and lawyers are also jackpying, talk more of, the cybersecurity brains.
Yeah, so that's actually a very important topic of discussion. So the brain drain is actually very real. You said it's affecting other professions. You see doctors and the likes. And even more so, the cybersecurity professionals, they are not being left out as well. So how does this affect the security in Africa and the level of talent? So I would say it has affected it significantly because a lot of the talented, look at the banks, for example, a lot of the top guys, the top IT professionals in the banks, most of them, they've either left the country or are making plans to leave the country. So you are now left with, I wouldn't say what's the current crop, people that are left behind are not qualified, but I'm just saying that experience, because most of these guys that work in the bank, they have years of experience as it relates to cybersecurity space in Nigeria and Africa. So you're not having the ones that are left behind. People know their stuff, but they don't have the number of years of experience and all of that. So what can organizations do about that? I think training is key. Like the cybersecurity field is very dynamic. It cuts across a lot of areas, from network security to governance, risk and compliance, all the way to red teaming and all of that. So I think organizations need to invest a lot when it comes to training and retention. So I know with the outflow of professionals out of the country, I think organizations need to do more in terms of compensation, because it seems like professionals now, especially the IT professionals, they have, a lot of options. I would say they have a lot of options because a lot of the good ones are leaving. So organizations are looking to fill in vacant positions being left behind by these guys. So I think organizations need to do a lot in terms of training and retaining their top talent. I think I'll end that there.
Dozie, do you have any thoughts about this?
Yeah, sure. Because, almost all my career I've been in the financial sector. So I have seen quite a level of change, trend, and, the effect. I would say the Jagba syndrome is good and bad. It's good and it's bad. It's good because we now have the vacuum created. A lot of people have now stepped up to take that position. A lot of people are learning on the job. A lot of people are being trained by different companies. We have different banks doing tech training school, this and that. Yeah, that's good, because sometimes when you look at it, you see that what you are paying someone high and what an entry-level staff is doing it's almost the same thing. Yeah, and with respect to experience, sometimes, let's say with how technology is moving fast, some old experience might not necessarily be relevant in the new. When, for example, what kind of old experience would you use as AI has come now? Let's say your organization tries to adopt AI solutions. How would your previous experience, when that is the first time meeting AI? So because technology is always advancing, you have it is only those that stay abreast of the next wave that keep being relevant. Not just, if we just have wealth of years ending floppy disk or something, that is probably backward. So it's good because we now have a lot of tech hands. Almost everybody can write hello world. Everybody, we just have a lot of that. Now, the issue that we're going to have is that after being trained and after coming to a particular level of comfortability, they'll leave. That is just the issue. So people are using the companies as a stepping ground, and the companies look, so they are also paying them little. So they won't want to increase the payment that, what you really want to give an IT staff, let's say 10 years ago, because they know they are going to leave. So let's just train you. You work for us while we are training you. For certain organizations, they find bonds. For certain organizations, they try to implement every kind of, gymnastic to keep them, but they'll just go. And that's it. But the reason people are leaving companies is not because of companies, it's because of Nigeria. It's because of, the country, not because of the company. Because I can leave Deloitte Nigeria and go and work in Deloitte UK and I'll be better off. So it's usually because of the country, not necessarily because of the company. That's why people are actually leaving.
So something that's really, before I get to the regulations in terms of, Stephen mentioned NDPR, maybe the Startup Act that Nigeria signed. I know, Kenya is looking to sign in a Startup Act too in 2024. Before I get to the regulations part and how we're faring on that end or how we fared in 2023, 2023 was also a year of elections on the continent, right? From Kenya to Nigeria, Liberia just, finished theirs. And most of these countries moved a notch further to getting improved processes, adding something digital to the elections. What were your thoughts, first of all, when we started this year and you heard that we're going to be doing a lot of the elections, or we have a lot more processes that are being digitized? Let me first get your opinion on that first. So, Stephen and Dozie, what did you think about our cybersecurity professionals? And you're hearing that, there would be this, there would be that, we're doing much more digital in our elections.
Okay, I'm looking for the best way to say it.
Okay.
But I didn't have any level of confidence in the process.
Oh, wow.
Not because we did not have brain. Not because we did not. When we look at the information system management, information security management, we are talking about people, technology, and process. So, yes, we should have the right technology in place. Do we have the right people in place? Do we have the right processes in place? So, Nigeria, we are, not just Nigeria, Africans, we are very intelligent people. We, lots of things going on, and it's very, very lovely. But I just did not have any level of confidence, and I wasn't surprised with any of the outcomes.
Oh, okay. You've gone faster than I wanted to go. Stephen, what did you feel like at first?
Okay, yeah. So I thought it was a welcome development, and it was going to reduce the likelihood of manipulations and all of that. But as Dozie has said, at the end of the day, they really leave us with so much confidence. I'm trying not to get political here, but as we all know, when technology is being used for anything, it's susceptible to vulnerabilities. So there are always potential weaknesses. For example, how can we ascertain the voter registration databases are secure or the voting machines have not been tampered with? How can we ensure the integrity of that? Same thing with the result reporting system. So how can we ensure the confidentiality of that information and all of that? So while technology offers a lot of good, and it could be used to digitize a lot of things, it also exposes us to vulnerabilities or weaknesses that could be exploited. We saw the outcome of the elections. We are seeing people like saying this using Nigeria as a case study. So they did their accreditation and all of that. These were the number of accredited voters. Then on the results reporting system, we are seeing a different figure. So how do we reconcile that? So yes, I think that's something Africa as a whole needs to improve upon. And as Dozie said, everything has to come together, not just the technology, the people and the processes, so as to create for like a truly credible election. And if I just add something regarding how technology shaped elections across Africa, I would say something we saw that was widespread was social media manipulation. So social media was used to spread disinformation as well as influence public opinion regarding a particular candidate and all of that. I think most of these social media platforms could do a lot by verifying like authenticity of information which is posted. I think Twitter or X, like it's now called, just implemented community notes. So it gives some context into how true or false a particular statement is. But I think like these social media companies could do a lot to prevent this social media manipulation.
Okay, now the next question is, elections, have come and gone for some countries. For some others, 2024, like South Africa and others too. And there are new leaders, in different frontiers. In Nigeria, Africa's largest country, those in charge of technology and the related areas and industries are looking to doing more with tech. Now, Stephen mentioned the NDPR, and I also know that late in 2022, Nigeria's president, former president now, Muhammadu Buhari, signed the Startup Act. What, in terms of regulations that speak to cybersecurity, interested you in 2023, and which ones did you look at or think about and say, this may not be like the best way to go about it? Laws, regulations, announcements, anything in that region?
Okay, well, for me, I didn't really see regulations that I thought were not too good. I went through the NDPR, I went through the USI, I went through the risk management. I went through a couple of them, and because most of these frameworks that are being adopted in Nigeria, they're actually frameworks abroad. So for example, if you look at the one used by TTS, you just know that, okay, this is just one framework, the National Institute of Science and Technology abroad. So we just tweaked here and there, and then we just adopted it as our own framework. So most of the frameworks, I haven't really looked at it from the aspect of trying to find things that are wrong. I haven't seen things that are wrong for now. When you're looking at the regulations and requirements objectively, now forgetting what is happening in real life application, just looking at the regulation as a regulation, regulations are very, very good.
Okay, so in terms of regulations, so it's not something new. Over the years, not just Nigeria, a couple of African countries have made efforts towards implementing laws, regulations, as it relates to cybersecurity and data protection. So while this is a welcome development, I just feel like the implementation of these laws and regulations have been largely abysmal. Like, for example, look at the EU, for example, that they adopt the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. So this applies to all nations in the EU. So you don't have like individual nations or regions like having their own regulation. You have like one holistic regulation that applies to all EU countries. So with what is happening in Africa currently, you see in Nigeria we have NIDA, in South Africa they have their own regulation. So it leads to confusion, and there's not like a consolidated approach towards security. So I feel like if African nations could come together and put up like, will I say, a united front when it comes to cybersecurity and data protection regulation, that would go a long way, because it's not just enough to have laws and regulations. How efficiently are these implemented? So I think that's what taking note of.
Very interesting points there. Now, I noticed that a couple of countries on the continent in the past 1 year tried to get their data, or the data of their citizens, or the data of the different agencies and government online. And I know that a couple of countries also tried to bring some things in relation to biometric identity, introduce biometric identification, and get all of that data, and either have like a company manage it, or something like that. In terms of e-governance, in terms of getting the data of citizens and data of government agencies online, what fears do you have, and what benefits could this have for the cybersecurity industry?
Okay, so in terms of this data collection, it has its good sides and bad sides. The good sides, I would say, it allows the government to have let's say, centralized database of its citizens. If they can aggregate all of this information, it could be used to fight crime, for example. I think a lot of organizations ask you for your NIN. I think that is supposed to be able to identify you, supposed to be unique to every individual. So I think that's actually a welcome development. But as you all know, it also it also has its bad sides, for example. So these organizations are collecting so much information, and there's every possibility that what if these data collection organizations are breached and this sensitive information is disclosed. For example, your BVN number is disclosed. If that could have a lot of undesirable consequences. And I also noticed something if you've given your BVN number once, you don't need to produce it a second time. So I think there's a duplication of this collection point. I think there should be a centralized way at every point in time. Once you've provided such information, you don't need to provide it again. And I also think a lot needs to go into reducing the amount of information organizations can collect, and protecting this data as well. Well, because like I said, if this information goes into the hands of malicious actors, it could be used for nefarious purposes.
Dozie?
Now, something else I would like to add. When we look at cybersecurity, we are looking at basic tenets. We are looking at confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality, that only people that are supposed to see data can see it. Integrity, that the data can only be changed by people who are authorized to change it. Availability, that data is available as at when needed. Now, in the availability part, for most state-controlled organizations, one of the issues, having worked in the financial sector, is that so sometimes you can just see that BVM portal is down, and it can be down for hours. That the fact that it is not available is a cybersecurity incident, and we usually when we look at it, we don't think in terms of visibility, we think in terms of breach. If there is a breach, no, data should be available. Well, else, if you just want it to be secure, we can keep the data in the middle of an ocean, but then it will not be available. So there is need for availability when it comes to cybersecurity. It's not something that is usually talked about. Network downtimes, we are not supposed to have them. The NIN portal almost always down. The BVN portal almost always down. Several other portals. So most state-controlled organizations that deal with data, we see the amount every day that we say, the budget, and we will not see a corresponding level of uptime from those data, from those amounts really that are being declared. So that is something that needs to be done. The uptime needs to be maintained, 99.9%. If we want to do any work, probably at night, you say, okay, we're carrying out maintenance for so time to so time. I have never gotten any email from any, I don't know if you have, saying that, our cost is available by such time because we are carrying out maintenance. Nothing. So it's just there. So most state control, the uptime is always a problem. So that is it. And another thing, just taking a cue from what Stephen said, is these things are just being proliferated. Everybody is asking for your NIN. Now, IKEDC said you should use NIN to register, and people move from house to house. So, like, I've just been thinking of how, like, it's just a problem. Now, how robust IKEDC is what's it called? It's an electrical company.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Now, how sure am I that my data is secure with IKEDC? So you have several companies requesting for data, and most of them for regulatory reasons. But the commensurate level of preparedness, security-wise, for those data, I do not have the confidence that it has been taken into account. So that's actually something that needs to be looked into.
Very, very, very important points raised by both of you, Stephen and Dozie. Now, something much more direct, Dozie, in terms of the open banking regulation, that I think it was this year, 2023, that Nigeria released that. Do you have any thoughts around that and cybersecurity, or looking at the cybersecurity status of Nigeria? What are your thoughts about the open banking regulation?
Okay, thank you. Now, with respect to the open banking regulation, there are concerns. There are serious concerns, but it's not anything that I've gone through several requirements, and they are okay. If they are going to be implemented, it's okay. With respect to the level of risk, you cannot tell a company that makes, let's say, a turnover of 20 million or 50 million, for example, to now use 40 million for cybersecurity solutions, and it's not a realistic expectation. So with respect to the requirements given to different companies with respect to their turnover, with respect to the number of customers, with respect to the amount, it's fair. It's okay. But one of the things I would really love is there is an idea called the bankers bank. So the bankers bank, it has to do with, this particular organization collects money, but which organization keeps the money? Because for example, our organization is insured by NDI. NDI only covers 500,000 naira per individual. So just in case you have 10 million naira, because I think that said, they are insured by NDI. Okay, to the tune of 500. Let's just get it very straight. So if there's any issue, you get 500,000 naira back. So that is something that so we should now look at bankers bank. Now, okay, even if these organizations are allowed to collect money, which organizations should keep that money? Should be a bank, because banks are very regulated, and they can, with respect to how large they are, they can withstand, a particular level of turmoil and still bounce back. We have different, of course, we know what's happening with Patricia. We know what's happening with, just several organizations just spring up, and then the next thing, there is an issue, because that level of robustness to withstand turmoil in the business terrain was not actually there. So it's really something that I would really love, that they should be bankers back. So you can do anything, but make sure your funds are with a bank, a bankers bank with CBN. Let it just be there and clearly stated. I think it would really increase confidence level.
Okay. Should there be anything that, looking at this regulation, the end users should be careful of, or should be wary of, or should, have at the back of their minds?
Okay. With respect to end users, the business, most of what CBN has done over a while is to restore confidence after the fall of Savannah banks and the rest, is to restore confidence in the banking system in Nigeria, to make you know that, okay, my money is going to be there no matter what, not going to put. And they really did a very, very great job. I mean, during the election time, when most big banks, the networks were shaky, people just went straight to OPay, without even thinking, because they had that assurance that, because CBN has actually done what they have done, they want that assurance that no matter where I keep my money is safe. So there's a level of confidence when it comes to banking in Nigeria. Most people don't think that their bank is going to crash. They don't have that fear, unlike our parents' time. But one of the things I would say, there are just certain important things, you're not going to be asked for your PIN. You're not going to be asked for an OTP. You're not going to be, they're just certain very important things that once you keep those things clear, your full ATM PAN, the numbers there, it's called PAN, you're not going to be asked for it. So once we know all those things, they're going to be, we are going to have a high level of safety. But once you just know those basic things that nobody is asking for any of your number, nobody is asking for any OTP, no organization will ask for an OTP, organization will ask for your BVN because we can see it, we have it already, so we can't be asking for it. We are not going to ask. There are just several questions that no organization is going to ask, and it's going to, as an end user, you should know that if everybody is cyber aware, we were going to give the hackers the rub for their money.
That sounds like a very audacious statement. But yes, let me agree with you. Now, Stephen, in terms of digital assets and the cybersecurity awareness around your digital assets, because we have a lot of people who now work with digital assets, from those that are monetary related to those, that are not directly associated or attached to money. What's the status like in terms of cybersecurity?
I would say it's not where it's supposed to be, but I think there's been like an improvement from subsequent years. So something I always preach is visibility. So you can't protect what you don't have any visibility into. And for the longest time, we had a lot of organizations, they lack that visibility into their assets, both IT assets, software assets, even IT assets. So nowadays, we will have shadow IT. So these are IT systems that the IT team, they're not even aware is in use in their environment. And this could be gateways for bad actors to cause compromise and you name it. So visibility is actually very key. Once you have that visibility into your assets, you are stepping in the right direction and you are one step ahead of the bad guys. And another thing I always recommend is once you have that visibility into your assets, whatever the asset it may be, you need to understand the vulnerabilities associated with those assets. Yeah, so in previous years, that has not been the case, but we've seen like an uptick in the adoption of these technologies, like more and more businesses are understanding the importance of these solutions that could identify the vulnerabilities associated with the assets so they could take proactive action before the bad guys cause damage. So I think it has improved as compared to previous years, but there's still a lot of room for improvement.
Great. Thank you so much. It's been really great speaking to both of you about the trends according to your expertise that shaped cybersecurity in 2023 here on the continent. And thank you very much to Stephen. Stephen Ogbebor is an IT security pre-sales engineer at Uranus. I didn't mention that in the intro. And thanks to Dozie Alisah, he's a cybersecurity assurance professional at FBN Holdings. FBN is First Bank of Nigeria Holdings. Thank you, Dozie, and thank you, Stephen.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yes. Now to wrap up, Dozie, I need to say thank you too before I continue.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so to wrap up, what are your wishes for Christmas and for the New Year, Dozie and Stephen?
Okay, wait. Let me wish you cybersecurity with you.
Well, it's open ended. It's open ended.
Oh. Well, if I say Victor now, you say that we just finished talking about
Hashtag Jackba brain drain. Wow.
I said I will not say it. So I don't know. Not really wish actually. I don't really wish actually.
Okay, that's strange. You already made a wish anyways. So what would you like to wish every other person?
Okay, I wish everyone, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Fruitful time ahead.
Okay, beautiful. Stephen, I really just hope that your wishes or your wish or the internal wish you're going to express is not, the one that Dozie did not express. Stephen.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, this is according to everyone the best time of the year. So I wish everybody glad tidings. Glad tidings, and it's my wish that the current economic climate fades and becomes what we all hope Nigeria is supposed to be. I wish everybody good health, and just best wishes basically. Also just to encourage everyone to stay cyber smart. Even though everybody's going on holidays, the bad guys are not going on holidays, so everybody should remain vigilant even this festival.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to catch up on all the live shows right here on africatechradio.com.